In this video, we're going to see an example of how to use a Java hash map. Now, one of the nice things about collections is you don't really need to know a lot about how they're implemented, or even a whole lot about how to use them in order to make use of them in your programs. We'll talk about hash maps later in the semester, but we can actually go ahead and start using one now because we know enough about collections. So a map is actually not a collection in the strictest sense. And you'll see in the notes, maps are sort of their own branch when we talk about collections. However, they function in a lot of the same ways. So a map in Java stores key value pairs. And so a key value pair could be something like the population of tortilla flat is 6. And let's reformat this. And I'm not using, I guess this is Prolog I'm trying to write comments for here. So let's do this correctly. So we can say that the population of tortilla flat is 6. That becomes a map, tortilla flat, to 6. A hash map is a class that implements the map interface. Though keep in mind, there's no specific order. So the order you put things in isn't necessarily the order they'll come out. And they aren't going to be sorted in the hash map either. The methods of a map, or at least the ones that we're going to use for now, there's a whole lot more. We're going to put things into the map, and we're going to get things out of the map. So let's see what we need to do to define a map. So the interface is map, and I'm going to map a string to an integer, but I could map any two types of objects together. I could map a string to a list. There's another example that does that. I could map two integers together if I wanted to, say, for example, keep latitude and longitude coordinates. I can map a string to store states and their capitals. I'll keep track of populations. So I'm going to create a new hash map. That's going to be the specific type of map I'm going to use here. And it is going to map a string to an integer. And you may notice there's two different types here. Some of the collections we've seen before only have one type. Here I have two different types. This is the key type and this is the value type. So going back to our example, tortilla flat would be the key. It's a string, and the population would be the value. So let me add these imports. So now to actually add something to the map, I say put, and then I give it the string and an integer. And I don't want to do compute. For some reason, Eclipse keeps putting compute there, and I'm not sure why. And then if I wanted to print this out, and then to get the population of tortilla flat, I say population get tortilla flat. So let's run this, and you can see the population of tortilla flat is 6. Now, what if I misspell this? I'll put an X here, and the population is null. If I give it a key that it doesn't know about, it returns null. So now let's add some more key value pairs. So here's the population of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago. I don't know why Chicago's in there twice. So let's only do Chicago once. Phoenix and then San Antonio. So I guess one of those cities is not like the other. So we've seen how to put things and we can get things. So what I actually want to do here is, instead of saying the population of tortilla flat is, what I really want to do is say something like the population of some city is, and then I get the population of that city. So to do this, we're going to need to create a loop. And let's print populations. To actually get each of the cities, I can use an iterator. And to get that out of the map, I can't just iterate over the things in the collection because the values that I'm looking for, the populations, aren't stored in the collection. They're stored with their key in the map. And so I need to get a list of all the keys. So that's what I want to iterate over, is the keys. And to do that, I use the function keySet. So keySet is going to give us an iterable object. It actually returns a set, but we can iterate over a set. So this will give us an iterator that gives us every city in the map. And then inside the loop, we're saying to print the city, and then we're getting the population for that city. And let me put braces around that just for good practice. And you can see here's the populations. So let me add 2 spaces here just to make that output a little cleaner. Because now the question is, what if we want to update a population? So there's a couple different ways we can do that. I can say in San Antonio, the new population is going to be 1547254, which is one more than it used to be. The other way I can do that is I can say population put Phoenix, and then instead of giving it a number, I'm going to say get Phoenix's current population. And then once I do that, I'm going to add 10 to it. So now let's copy this loop that we had above and print them all again. And when we run our code, you can see that now San Antonio has one more than it used to be. It's the value that we set it to. And then Phoenix used to have 992 were the last 3 digits, and now it's 1002. So we've added 10 to that. So we can get those values out, change them, and put them back. That's certainly acceptable. So again, we haven't really covered a lot about hash maps, but we don't really need to, because all you need to know are just some of the key functions that are going to do what you need. You can worry about the implementation later if we get to that later in the semester.